microphones on. So if you
This evening when they're place speaking. Welcome to those also joining us online. Mobile phones off or silent and something next to me as much as anyone else. I was reminded by the 10 o'clock as we came to this day of simplification. Patron saint of soldiers and teachers. Okay, I'm decision. That's in line with what we'll proceed with our meeting. Second item, there's apologies. Still we have to make apologies.
I will look at Nick and see if
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor. We have apologies from Councillor Bell, Councillor Joanna Dickinson, Councillor Peter Dickinson, and Councillor Thurman.
Can I have Simon would also be listed to the list of apologies? Which is
Reasons. Yeah.
seconded.
All in favour?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much.
Good. Thank you, everybody. 3 declarations of interest. Do we have declarations of interest? Good.
I've not been notified and no councillors have sought a dispensation for this meeting, Chair.
If you anyone remembers anything during the course of the meeting, before it's the last meeting on the 20th of June, and on the site in sign. So if anyone would like to speak to this or you can produce this. Seconding.
Yeah.
Opposed or seconder, all those in favour?
It's unanimous, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we move on to item 5, questions and statements.
I do check, apologies, don't have it.
Would you like me to read it? I'm more than happy to read it. Excuse me if I do an impression and use my own voice. So Councillor Tibble asked, when we voted on the renovation of the 13 drinking water taps along the seafront, did the Environment and Services Committee consider a requirement for disabled, specifically wheelchair users, to be able to use the taps when on the esplanade? If we did not, please could we ask the officers to look at the cost of ensuring that this is included in our renovations? I think we have an excellent opportunity here to ensure that the council's service provision is inclusive for as wide a group as possible, and it would be a shame not to consider this. I'm happy to respond.
Jane will now respond to the question she just posed.
Thank you. So although this issue was raised at the Environment and Services Committee meeting on the 10th of July, there was a discussion on it. No changes were made to the plans which were agreed as per the minutes of that meeting. I understand that at that committee, the main issues discussed were the additional costs and the extension to timescales if we wanted to bring it in within the budget and before the August hits us. The finances for the plans were also discussed at the Finance and Governance meeting held on the 24th of July, and at that meeting the matter was raised. Should the Environment Services Committee wish to revisit this decision, they would need to be mindful of the 6-month rule within standing orders unless significant new information has come to light.
vote next on the chairs and vice chairs of the committees, so
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Speaking in my capacity as vice chair of the Service Committee, in the absence of Councillor Bear, as the town clerk said, that was discussed during the meeting. We were assured by officers that there are a number of the taps that are problem on charts. And we also assured that there are businesses and our tenants on the seafront not to consideration disabling access to free water was considered. We were satisfied at that committee unanimously, I believe, recognition that also was available to all of our residents.
so
Thank you, councillor Hope. No, that's helpful, and absolutely it was remiss of me not to have the discussion within the F&G meeting. Part of our discussion, gender rights. I think ongoing, it would be helpful to understand, if you like, I'm not suggesting we go back in time, but when we were talking about that, we had understood the costs, etc. What are those costs so that we can make it in a more informed decision when it comes to F&G? If councillors follow what I'm saying, then sure. Thank you.
Sorry.
Could I just ask a question? Could we know, how many staff there?
Part of the environmental services committee, we update to our next meeting in regards to how many will be at the level.
Good. So that's, it looks like it's something that will be returning to in the future meeting, perhaps one to sort out.
Yeah.
Next spring. Good. When it, mine. Yeah.
I apologise, we're having a slight issue with the projector, not.
Projecting.
And it's exceeded my IT capabilities, so if anybody. Blue, oh. Why it's doing that and not that? Right, imagine you're explaining this to the.
I don't know what's in that house.
I've only got one screen.
Well, if you use the search bar and type the word display to come up, you can go extend to connect display at the top.
So my screen that I'm looking at now says display. Terribly sorry, but I know a lot of you rely on this. Shall we then?
Right, turning off the line.
I'm trying. No, right.
You should do it.
Well, I think this, I'll proceed with item 6. And so it's been a full month, not quite as full as the first month, which was D-Day. But quite packed nonetheless. We've been around various schools giving out prizes and all, which is always gratifying. And visited the veterans this weekend, and that was great to see them quite vulnerable a few weeks ago in terms of running out of money, but this fairly substantial lottery which will give them safety through the next few years. And as part of that, they get mentoring. So that was very positive. Probably notable things from the town council was seeing the Green Hill Plot group of young child grew up playing in Green Hill Gardens, and it's gradually falling into decay there now. It's really is quite a look mechanism. And if you get there on the hour, you can hear the other big event we've got is the delayed reopening of Spanish Book. I'm going to do this for a family where we see a preview of it. It's a real issue with the team. And I want to pay particular thanks to many events that I haven't been able to get to, and when we do it, and then we get it. Next, item 7, it's from councillors. Now, the rules for this is they have to be things that are relevant to Weymouth, and which is who's being updated like Sheffield.
So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So, spot your time. I like the town council logo.
So I know it's in orders, I can change the colours. It's blue ones for that. I get ones at the end of the meeting.
The point for updates of I just wanted to draw attention to fellow councillors that Weymouth will be hosting a big conversation on the 7th of September, 10 till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And that will be taking place outside the Range, New Bond Street by the White Hart. And this big conversation is a community engagement access. Dorset Council is taking part in whilst they look to set their priorities within a strategic plan for the next 5 years. So I welcome colleagues to not only just these people moments to your residents, so your residents can come and talk to the points and the direction that Dorset Council is looking to go into. That's the only update.
So well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's important to note that that's a conversation, it's not a consultation, which is really important that people know that they're being asked. My point was just to say that Dorset Council had issued an invitation to MPs to meet with the group leaders at DT as soon as possible and then on a regular basis, so that we can have a conversation with them and let them know what our priorities are, both Dorset Council and our own town councils.
Very useful. Next, Councillor Norman.
Thank you, Chair. We've had lots of briefings about Dorset Council, some on grounds. One I'd like to draw attention to. The homes. It's really interesting to see the work that's being done across the preventing people begin to discuss actually acquiring accommodation, buying up was converting them into action. On those ones, I wasn't able to what proportion of that to Weymouth, but one of the things that we did have was that there are 95 homes in Waltham. Dorset, that's licensed homes with 6 or more households. And there are about 1,000 HMOs which sit below those license criteria, where people are sharing facilities. And in these, the landlords are responsible for a number of things, and the council has been improving its supervision. One of the things that I noted was that 63% are in Weymouth and Portland, East. And one of the obvious concerns about it can be a higher risk of fire, multiple occupation, and that's why the inspection regimes do. Empty homes, number of empty properties across Dorset is in its thousands. Somewhere responsible neighbourhood plan question, I have the number in Weymouth, which is surprisingly high. It requires a little bit more challenge as to why there are so many empty. And there is a council scheme run by Dorset Council with reporting in. These could then potentially be brought up by us or encouraged to come back into use, because an empty home is no good. Another property not available. And the crisis worse in Weymouth. So just draw attention to that bit of information if they require anything additional, please ask me and dig it out. Now I have about 10 days to follow.
I imagine that is something we'll be returning to. In council, so will be on our minds in months. Thank you. It's public question time. We were expecting some members of the public.
But for this purpose, I'm a member of the public. I'm speaking on behalf of MB Freedom. It's on behalf of MB Freedom, just, you know, I do.
I was under the impression they were attending.
They were going to attend, but they sent their apologies to me today and asked me as a member of their organisation. All I want to do is to thank the council on their behalf for missing the Jubilee plot to be given their light, their colours. They're extremely grateful. They are, as you know, one of our foremost charities in the town, and they're very grateful to you for allowing that recognition of the work that they do for disabled people within our town and our visitors. Thank you very much.
And now we move on to the written down question. We were expecting one or two people to attend, but in their absence, leaving the breach once more.
Thank you, Chair. So this question has been received by the council from Graham Perry, who is the chair of We Are Weymouth, who is Weymouth. He is unfortunately unable to attend tonight, so I'll read out the question and then a response. The question is, when the physical barriers in St Thomas and Mary Street were installed by Weymouth Borough Council in partnership with Dorset County Council in 2017, it was because of a real perceived risk to pedestrian safety. Weymouth and Portland Borough Council went on record at the time saying that a number of road users have been witnessed using the streets and potentially putting people at risk. The Traffic Regulation Order, or TRO, and signage were clearly not enough to prevent vehicles entering the streets during pedestrian hours. Apart from the safety aspect, it was also recognised that physical barriers would make visitors and residents feel much more comfortable and therefore more likely to dwell in the town centre. Weymouth and Portland Borough Council beach office staff were responsible for the barriers each day, which Mr. Perry feels takes no longer than half an hour, that's 10:30 and 5:30 p.m. daily. The model is delivered in Sherborne, where operational staff manage the barriers at no additional cost to Sherborne Town Council. When Weymouth Town Council had a town centre manager, the council took the decision to pay local business £5,500 annually to unlock and lock these physical barriers daily. Whilst it is no one's legal responsibility to deliver this service, our concern is that should Weymouth Town Council not maintain the physical barriers, Dorset Council has indicated that these barriers will be removed at both ends of the streets, but they are not necessary for the enforcement of the TRO, traffic regulation. Previously, Weymouth and Portland Borough Council and the Old County Council recognised the need for this scheme, and there is no reason to think that the circumstances will be any better today. Indeed, public comments received when the bollards and barriers were removed at Christmas 2023 were not favourable, noting that the TRO was breached and there were concerns about public safety. We do understand that money is tight, but maintaining this scheme is essential to both the safety and prosperity of the town centre. Please can the town council confirm that a decision will not be made to end the operation of these barriers and that every effort will be made to reach a solution in favour of them remaining.
Pause for breath, and then you can ask your own question.
Thank you, Chair. Not used to talking, did the response from the council is that the town council currently has no plans to end the operation of the barriers at the current service level. We have no knowledge of any plans by Dorset Council to remove the barriers. Should Dorset Council, as the owners of the barriers, be minded to remove them in the future, the Town Council will discuss the matter with Dorset Council to ensure that there is adequate enforcement of the TRO due to the significant risks and issues stated in the letter and those experienced by the Town Council over Christmas 2023. It is important to note that the enforcement of the TRO and the provision of the physical barriers are not responsibilities of the Town Council. We do not own or maintain those barriers. And that the funding that to provide for the opening and closing of the barriers currently is provided by Weymouth Town Council on a historic goodwill basis.
Item 9. Budget and monitoring report. So I'll hand over to Ian Mills and introduce this.
Thank you, Chair. Members will have part of the agenda, the information which relates to the period one financial monitoring information. Just to let members know, it is notoriously difficult to provide any real meaningful information at this early stage of the financial year. But what it does do is allow members to have sight of the budgets that we approved last year to familiarise themselves with them, and we can report those items where unders and overspends will occur that we already know. And in the main, at this moment in time, they just relate to the vacancies which we were holding at the beginning of the year, and also the additional income which we are anticipating to obtain as part of our investment programme. And if you take those two together, we are anticipating at this moment in time an underspend of around £240,000 predicted for the end of the year. The Finance and Governance Committee do have sight of the detailed financial information, and it is their responsibility to make recommendations to full council of any corrective action that is needed if they deem that there is any issues with the budgeting in terms of getting overspend. I'm pleased to report, Chair, that we, at this stage, there isn't any corrective action which we need to take. So we're just asking that we formally note the finance monitoring report one.
So it's early in the year, but it's a rather good start. So anyone have any questions? Still.
Not a question so much, but just to confirm that we did discuss this at the Finance and Governance last week. I think agreed with the recommendation of the officer.
I'd like the second that we note.
You need to vote on that.
I think before we use one of these, although we're only noting them,
I'll get to imagine it's seen that we have considered it.
I know.
All those in favour?
That is unanimous.
Item 10. Approval. In the contract. Given.
Thank you, Chair. Members may be aware that previously, in a project to undertake it tumble down the building A. This has previously been discussed and agreed at full council, and we've secured external funding of £100,000 to ensure that this project can commence and be put in place. It's a quirk of the financial regulations that any single commitment over £100,000 just needs to be formally agreed at full council. So what we're asking, Chair, with this item is just to do that process of formally agreeing the commitment now that we know that it is over £100,000, so that then the project can just commence.
So first, any questions, and then seeking your proposals. Seconding. Right, so we move to the vote. All those in favour?
It is unanimous, Chair.
Swimming this in. Next, another tumble down matter, item 11. Is the residents. In sealing this one, so.
Whether to explain it, Chair, or to apologise that I'm bringing an item on VAT to keep. I'll try and just quickly go through it. There is some, when we do building works, the VAT treatment on those building works is normally VAT exempt. What did we do to ensure that we protect our finances and allow us to reclaim the VAT is we opt to tax on the site that is having those building works undertaken on them. It doesn't really affect anything that we do. It just protects the council of having to repay the VAT element back to HMRC should some quite complex rules kick in around partial exemption. So I'd like to say that I understand this fully, Chair, but we do get some expert advice from external VAT providers, so that is their official advice. So we have to formally ask full council to agree to all the tax just to protect our interest when we take the VAT.
So recommendation that we register for that. The discussion, if not with the questions. To Norman.
Propose that we put forward.
All those in favour?
It is unanimous, Chair.
Your job is making it easy.
Oh, there's a lot of skill goes into it.
Item 12. We're going to seek nominations at the end of this, but for the town clerk, uses the.
Thank you, Chair. Very short report for you at item 12 on the assets working group. It's just to set one up. Our assets are very important and they are a large part of our work. We have significant numbers of assets. Most importantly, this building you're sitting in at the moment, which has its own maintenance plan. And we have a number of assets that we like and need to constantly review to make sure that we're making best use of them, that we're using them efficiently and that we're using them effectively. Because the issue of assets impacts on all of the committees in one way or another, we're not asking for this working group to go through a specific committee or be nominated to by a committee, which is why it is before you tonight in full council. And the recommendation before you is to nominate up to 4 councillors to sit on the assets working group.
The discussion. So,
Will this group also look at one, two, where the Dorset Council is reviewing it, holding a number of such maybe transferred to Hampson Parish?
It wasn't within the remit thinking of setting this group up. Asset transfers need to come through one of the committees and then on to full council, because they obviously add to the council. That's the disposal of assets, but because there's sometimes significant financial impacts.
Seems to be two things. The first is to agree with everything is. Then later, tonight or we can agree who the four should be. We can
Nominate two tonight, because I know my fellow members of SMT are very keen to get the committee going.
keep going, I guess.
We'd like to nominate councillor Thomas Taylor from the Labour Group to take part in the asset group. I think that we've had groups in the past and they're very happy.
So councillor Penny.
Yes, from the concern, I'd like to nominate councillor Claire Williams.
I would like to nominate councillor David Northam.
Lily, I think try.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. I'd like to nominate councillor Stein.
4 nominations. No more, then this makes it an easy evening. Good, in that case, 4 nominations. We have to like, imagine you have to vote. Right, so those 4 nominations. Yeah, proposing. All those in favour?
It's unanimous, thank you, Chair, and a meeting will be set up as soon as possible.
Not roll team. Imagine we move all that whole business forward. Let's see, let's have to see what the ball is on there. Scrolls and the order. So we have a recommendation before us. On the town clerk to introduce this report and decision.
I'm happy to introduce this report, Chair, but I wasn't planning on saying anything in addition, because I know that Councillor Cadwell is extremely passionate about this subject and will probably like to speak.
I can do town clerk, Mr Mayor, but I think I made my position pretty clear when I asked the question at the last meeting. I personally, and I don't believe I'm alone in thinking that, on the death of an honorary ordinance, all these roles to be removed is somewhat disrespectful. It doesn't pay due regard to the dedication and work that former councillors put into the growth and the development and the well-being of our former borough. And I note absolutely that on the formation of the town council, the formation of Dorset Council, responsibility fell to Dorset County Council. I personally feel that that's sort of an anomaly, really, but whether it is or whether it isn't, I don't think it's relevant. I would like to think that my fellow councillors feel that we should pay respect to those people who, on whose shoulders we sit, and on who we continue their good work for the good of our town. And I leave it entirely at that. Of course, I will propose the recommendation because I asked for it. So I do propose it. I hope that it will be seconded, and I ask for support of my fellow members. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the recommendation we have at the moment is to decide on the future displacing. Want to wording you're proposing.
I'd like to propose that we continue to display the Weymouth and Portland Borough Council honorary ordnance roles following the death of such aldermen. That's my recommendation, that's what I would like to propose. I would add that, of course, we are a dwindling number. So unless this council decides sometime in the future to institute the role of alderman, and it may not be appropriate going forward, because we live in a different world now. And they're not going to grow. There's going to be that many, so you're not suddenly going to be inundated. You're under the pile of them. So that's my recommendation, is that we agree to continue staying.
Moving on to discussion. So Louis first, you've got two more
Just for
speakers.
clarification, do we need to do declaration of interest?
I'm pecuniary interest, because I have one of
Yeah.
the people in the finance, and I was a bit close to it.
If councillors wish to declare an interest and the no limits.
I think the Glen is right up. Speaking, because I think this is non.
I did declare an interest when I asked the question initially.
Can I declare an interest, please?
Yes. Next is. Yeah, so we're going to go through some speakers now, councillor O'Leary.
Thank you, Chairman. Happy to say the only on is, could it be added if who is happy to include that the ones that were removed are being stated, because that isn't actually. Right. Yeah. I am probably in support. On the issue of creating an alderman, a local council of our remit, not. We can't legally create a new alderman, can we? That lies with Dorset Council, we can only create Freeman. Therefore, I think it is sad when the last alderman does pass away, what is a now never to be increased number will be bound, be empty, was once filled with those who had served up so graciously in the past. The issue with history is people often forget it. The problem is they try and water it down, and the problem is you can't water it down to start washing it away. We're not meant to push it about. Okay. It did exist. And so did when the urban district, both the urban districts, we have our heritage, we have our history. I think it is important we as do recognise that there's no cost to this, nothing else planned is going to. When I first started telling me before I was elected to the town council, that was filled with Alderman scrolls, it's not been replaced by anything substitute it, so therefore I'm fully in support. So the Conservative group. So Larry. Next speaker.
No, I just wanted to declare.
You want to speak to? Speak to. Yeah, so that case, we have a proposal and a second. Just, I'll check with the,
Yeah, bear with me, let's scroll back up. Councillor Lyne, did you got it? Happy? Dan? All council agree that the remaining Dorset Council Alderman scrolls remain on display in perpetuity. I probably do need to mention that we only have the waived ones, we don't have the Portland.
No.
Portland Town Council have those.
so I think
Remaining in.
Very much, Mr. Mayor. Just a question, obviously the title of Henry Oldham, Dorset responsible. Now, Dorset Council does now have an Henry Oldham procedure and policy. So are we saying that future Henry Alderman, I think that's how that we will display a copy of their scrolls? If not, I kind of think that's unfair. They've done the same service at the same level in recognition and title. If we're going to display ones that were granted by the borough, we should display ones for people who live in our town. And that
They will be displayed in County Hall.
but at the same time,
There'll be honorary alderman of Dorset Council.
sorry, I think I'm just committed at the moment.
Sorry.
And if not, if the scrolls of the honorary alderman that belong to Dorset, and so they're going to display future scrolls, then why haven't they got these scrolls? Are they responsible? I don't have a mind, opinion either way, whether they're displayed on the wall or not. I just want to let them fair and way forward that if future aldermen are awarded, that we offer them the same responsibility. And I think the other thing I just want clarity for the chamber is they are only copies. The originals are given to the recipient, who then have them in their own premises or wherever they wish to display them. So they then pass on it when they choose for their copy of the scroll to go. It's nice to recognise our history. It's definitely worth recognising our honorary aldermen. They've done a tremendous job to get that recognition and that title. But I just want that clarity whether or not we will be displaying future honorary aldermen that reside in the town. Also, can I have the assurance that freemen are also included in this? Because I believe the freeman that we currently got in the town was awarded by the borough. To keep the honorary alderman, the scroll is also kept because she's equally as important. In my opinion, she's never served on the council and she's done those honorary aldermen to do. So I want her to remain up there. Future freeman, if that's what we decide as a council.
So there's two people in options bond, the first person we saw was this lady.
Yes, you're a alderman of the authorities that Borden Borough Council no longer exists. Therefore, it cannot be displayed in the authority of up to which that was based out of. If you are made an alderman now, you're an alderman of Dorset Council, which resides at County Hall, you're an alderman of the county. To say that you should be displayed here because you reside in Weymouth is not official. That is it's of the authority you're based. Freeman, there's only been two Freemen ever created in Weymouth. One is Roy Gainey, who I believe his scroll is no longer in here. That way, and Mrs. Poppy Butcher. They are Freemen, I believe, of the borough. In terms of the historic. I don't know what the legal clarity is on that. We don't form ceremony and formality, I'm not sure, but I will be remaining up. Is Mr. Gainey or Councillor Gainey or Freeman Gainey or Alderman Gainey's scroll still with us? Is it Freeman or is it
Response.
Yeah.
So that's
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I was going to say much the same as councillor O'Leary actually, and that the new aldermen created by Dorset Council will be aldermen of Dorset Council, and their scrolls will be displayed there. And obviously they'll have they want to put them up. So it's a different situation. And yes, it was remiss of me not to remember Poppy Butcher and any future honorary freemen that we may create. Their scrolls should be displayed, and I think they should continue to be displayed. Because they died doesn't, their good deeds don't die with them. And I think that that's my point with the honorary alderman scrolls. These people have died, their good deeds did not die with them. They are there, and we all see the evidence of their good deeds. I was under the impression, and I, may well be wrong, I sometimes am, that the scrolls were being kept in order to go to the museum when the museum reopens. And that being the case, I think they are still available. I do know that the museum have said that they don't know where or how they would display them, and indeed they're of the opinion that they should remain here if possible. But that's hearsay on my part, obviously.
also and then all that debate, I think we moved to a on this revised wordings. Final application and then a vote.
Thank you, Chair. Just on a couple of points that have been raised. On the transfer of responsibilities from Weymouth and Portland Borough Council to Dorset Council and to Weymouth Town Council, the responsibility for the aldermen passed fully to Dorset Council. They became aldermen of Dorset Council. Dorset Council manage them, maintain the list, maintain the contacts, manage the perks, as it were. I believe aldermen get some free car parking, things like that. So it's all already managed by Dorset Council. They already come under Dorset Council now. The only honorary freeman scroll I'm aware of is Poppy Butchers. I'm not aware of that other one. I don't think we've ever had that. It's in here.
Yeah.
Don't know then, I'm afraid, on that one. And the freeman scrolls on passing are offered to the family. If the family no longer want them, they're then sent to Dorset History Centre, because Weymouth Museum had said that they didn't have any way currently to curate them. So they're passed to Dorset History Centre for curation, preservation as part of the historical record of Weymouth currently.
Sure. For us, it has been proposed and seconded.
On a procedural matter, the motion put forward before the proposer sector wasn't including Freeman, so therefore it's an amendment with Freeman.
You just did it.
So include that.
Now, no chair standing orders, we were voting on the proposal, which was not including Freeman. Is all in place for an amendment to now include Freeman.
Who seconded it? Well, that, all those in favour?
Is unanimous?
This now becomes the substantive motion, which we will now vote. Those in favour of the motion.
Do we have a
Proposal is seconded, second proposal.
Yes.
Yeah. Motion.
I proposed again and there is second.
Proposed by Councillor Leonard, seconded by Councillor O'Leary. All those in favour of the revised substantive motion?
Seen.
It's abstentions.
1, 2, 3.
Is carried. Item 14. Fast moving events with the fulfill application, which is rather complicated, but we might assume looking at it from the iceberg. It's two parts. There's the planning commission, but there's also the environment agency. It's talking about tonight, it's the environment agency. I call upon the town clerk to introduce.
There we go. Thank you, Chair. So the Environment Agency is considering granting an environmental permit to Powerfuel Limited for the energy for waste plant at Boreham Port. This council has been asked if there is any additional information it wishes to submit, as the Environment Agency is minded to grant the environmental permit. Council should know that this process is completely separate from the planning application, which is before the Secretary of State for determination by the end of September. And one does not rely on nor imply the other. For this item, councillors are reminded that you can only consider those matters within the scope of the environmental permit. This does not include any material planning considerations, and that includes traffic movements to and from the site, suitability of the site itself, the look of the proposed facility, or the national need for waste treatment provision. You're asked to refer to Appendix D, which is a huge extract from the recent Portland Town Council agenda discussing this matter, and I thank the Town Clerk and Councillor at Portland Town Council for allowing us to use it and allowing me to attend their meeting on the 24th of July. Councillors will recall that Weymouth Town Council and Portland Town Council joint funded the FREEDS reports, and that Weymouth Town Council's objection originally reiterated and supported the main objection from Portland Town Council. So you have the appendix. It includes all of the FREEDS reports, the Environment Agency briefing, the pre-operational measures and improvement conditions, and the draft notice to grant the environmental permits. As I said at the meeting last week on Wednesday, Portland Town Council agreed a recommendation to request that the Environment Agency defer a decision for the reasons in the officer recommendations to you on this agenda here tonight. I'm happy to respond to any questions except any of a very technical, engineering or mathematical nature, which is included in the permits.
So any, just acting as one member relation to us. But when I have the answers, what any discussion?
I'm happy to recommend we support Portland and the continued opposition to this application.
Second, councillor. So,
Yeah, I want to say my group Pastier case would be concerned about when I looked at the Environment Agency decision. It's very evidence-based. It's particularly on the report by Imperial College. So my concern has been 10% of the year, wind is strong enough, blowing from the right three directions, coming towards White Regis. And then, but the Environment Agency, back at Imperial College, say there are no health risks associated with, except the raw risk of general animal, which are involved within 10 kilometres. That's what they can't explain. Big concern that should be explained. And also in the original Portland Council engineering consultants do not consider whether there's a risk from arson and nickel. Say that. People are some issues here that this extended consultation period might allow you to.
so yes, it was an extended consultation period, which allow us to get the to make those points. Single hand. We've got two councillors ready to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to put on record that this facility will be what was advised for asylum seekers to pretty much all of us living south of the Ridgeway. We should support the council petition.
I do would support the recommendation. I've had conversations with former councillor Jan Bergman, who said there is a report coming from New Zealand that has a lot of information that would challenge some of the points here, but we've got very little time in which to analyse it in that cases. So then let's try and get some action.
Councillor Taylor.
Can I just ask about financial implications, please? There's a mention that we may need to use consultant with this.
Paul Tankard there, who's been itching to speak up, I'm not sleeping. The town councillors have.
It was just to say, I've added in a B concerning the congenital deformities not explained in the report and the lack of detail. Was it nickel and arsenic? Yeah. I've added that in, should members be minded to include that, because that's quite a good specific information. If we did want to engage FREEDS or another contractor to look into the report and do some detailed analysis, there will be a cost involved, probably into several thousands of pounds, but we haven't explored that. This is, we haven't had a lot of time, and we would seek to work with Portland Town Council again on that. should they be minded to do it as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Given that, let's face the facts, we don't have the expertise in-house to really dig down into this. Should full council tonight not be setting aside some sort of to allow this work to happen? Let's face it, he's, we put money into the campaign against the planning conditions for the building, working with Portland Town Council and other groups and voluntary sector. And I'm wondering, do we need to actually have a further recommendation in it with some budget funding that we use to support this in conjunction with the Portland Town Council? I could be mistaken. Didn't like Councillor Atkins, who's got some sort of knowledge of this. What really impressed you, saying?
Councillor Atkins, would you like to respond?
I have no specialist knowledge. I'm used to looking at. I read the environment report.
Thank you. I'll put it back over to the town clerk and sure.
So we just checked the detailed budget lines, and we do have a budget for consultancy of £20,000, and you also have unallocated funds in the positive variance, because I've been told I'm about to use the word understanding.
I'll come back to Councillor Norman.
Thank you. Item D on the list now. Also, and hearing the appeal, possibly some while back, leave the what held up being published. Being held, the elections being held, so I would expect all will be published shortly, and therefore delaying action at the moment. We see that report. So item D.
I've got various other people waiting to speak now. Councillor.
Very much, Mr. Mayor. I would like to move forward with a recommendation, if I can. That would be to recommend what's on screen 8D with a further or E stating the council is £5,000 if necessary.
Well, you could do, it's in an existing budget with officer delegation, so it's not required. I think what it shows willing on the part of the council. If it comes in within budget.
So, very good use of council time. We can this is great. Two more people waiting to speak.
It's all right, I don't need to speak anymore. I put money into the recommendation. Wasn't happy. I just wasn't happy with approving it with that piece. It's in there. That piece.
Yes, it does. Councillor Surrey.
Maybe I don't understand the process very well, but two of the backgrounds that the planning application is before the Secretary of State for determination by the end of September. So are we not sort of coming in with these to somebody at the end of September? Take time to engage consultants and have reports written.
On town clerk to respond.
So the Secretary of State, the Deputy Prime Minister, will be determining this, and her deadline is the 23rd of September for determining that. And that is for the planning application, which is a completely separate process to this environmental permit application. So the planning permission sits with Angela Rayner, and the environmental permit sits with the Environment Agency. So they're two completely separate processes.
Am I right in thinking that if ensuring a grants sufficient. Nevertheless, the Environment Agency can
If the environmental permit, so the operators need planning permission with an environmental permit. If you don't have both, you can't.
Season councillor Harris.
Can I propose that we have a section of F? Or, and that we lobby our new MP to actually press the government on our behalf?
Should the plan.
Although,
I voted last, yes. Right, this motion is getting interesting. Yeah, we probably need, once it settles down, we need a some seconds for the new working. Yes, absolutely. Yes,
Chair, to be a stickler for the rules.
yes.
I made a proposal seconded by councillor Taylor. Stan has made an amendment. He's asked for a second.
So we're looking at this first. Right?
can express council's concerns to the government on the planning application and the environmental act. I think he might express his concerns to his wife, but it's probably
Elaborate. Yeah, Chairman, I have recommended to approve agree to propose the recommendation. That's now been amended. I can propose, I am happy with the amendments to that. I don't think we need another.
second.
Yes. You need to look at adding F to the substantive, which becomes the whole substantive, then you can vote on that.
Because. So then what? Well, we break useful functions. Yeah, I think it's debatable on me. So we're looking at this, we have proposed for a second to add section. Use. That's approved amendment.
Approving the amendment.
Approved amendment.
That is unanimous.
So now we've got.
Now it's a whole thing.
Substantial whole of the motion.
Opposed now.
Right.
It wants-
You should all, right, so. Second, like this. It's like motion, all those in favour.
That is unanimous, Chair, thank you. Nikki, I just think it's all good. Don't worry.
That's. But the council doing its job, that's working as a full council and we. So. Back on back. Let's hope we prevail. 9:15. Now, this one is, if we have to go into any tech. Move into place. Word of caution.
But they check, but the assistant.
Thank you, Chair. Before you this evening, we're asking you to seal the post-venue agreement that IMAN for 2025. The reason it's coming straight to full council is because IMAN only contacted a couple of weeks ago, and if we'd taken it through Environment and Services Committee, we would have hit time for they gave us. We wish to announce a date for their forthcoming event in September. And the only differences post-venue agreement for this year and last year are changes today. IMAN's address has been updated and there's updated to restrict the sponsorship categories. I have spoken directly with Ironman organisers, and they have reassured me that in the future they will give us more time to go. But unfortunately, due to the elections this year, conversations with Dorset took a little longer than anticipated.
That's a similar song first.
Very much about, I think, this and very for our town brings a lot, football is obviously which helps us in the season. It's very good addition and promotion to the town, to the athletes come during the event, they come here to train, spend money locally. And I think this is a great event for Williamstown Council to play their part in it. We can facilitate, and I think it's good.
Proposals, councillor O'Leary.
Yes, thank you very much. I will be voting in favour. Though, I mean, leave us on Sunday. It does create, does prevent people in particular on Sunday going to church in some aspects. Probably just double down on the request of around notifying residents that will be affected. I mean, it runs through the whole of Preston. What is the situation with? I mean, they're normally pretty good. Years of that.
Just to confirm, I do know the road closure information has started to go out to residents over the last week or so. So if your residents haven't already received something, they will do in the coming weeks.
After rather. So tonight was first one, So any other? Move to the vote. See no more hands. Move to the vote. All those.
That is unanimous, Jim.
Item 16, these are just information items. You were just asked to make them. Expect them to only asking for any proposals or something. So no more ado.